Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing more behavior and body language from Donna Adelson. Donna Adelson was recently arrested for her alleged involvement in the murder of Dan Markel. Her son Charlie Adelson was recently found guilty for his role in the murder of Dan Markel. What we're going to be looking at today is police body cam footage of Donna Adelson's arrest. Before we get started with this, there are a couple of things I wanted to remind you of. One, this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. I also wanted to make sure you knew that this is not to prove her guilt nor her innocence. We're just going to be providing commentary based on her body language and her behavior. Last thing before we get started is I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. What we're getting ready to watch is police body cam footage from the night of her arrest at Miami-Dade International Airport. She was planning on leaving to go to Vietnam through Dubai.
Hi, how are you? You have your ID?
All right, let's go back and break this down. Right when they say you're under arrest, her eyes get wide. So you can see that when they told her that she's going to be arrested, her eyes get really wide. We tend to do that when we're surprised. Eyebrows up, eyes wide, mouth open. That tends to be the look of surprise. Now, this shouldn't be too surprising for her, and we're going to talk about that as we go. So the question is, was she trying to show a look of surprise as though she wasn't expecting this? Because let's watch her behavior right afterward. And afterward, they said for the murder of Dan Markel. And then she throws her hands up and looks exasperated. Watch this whole sequence again, and I'll talk about it more. So at first she looks surprised when they say you're under arrest, and as soon as they say for the murder of Dan Markel, she throws her hands up, almost like what an annoyance this is, how frustrating this is. You don't see fear or anxiety or anger, more just, I can't believe this is happening.
Cell phone? No, I don't want to give it to you. Why?
Now, there was a lot of body language right there. So they tried to take her cell phone. She physically turns her entire body away from the officer to try to get away. Obviously, she wasn't ever going to run away. Obviously, she couldn't escape. But this was what appeared to be an involuntary reaction to just try to get away from the situation as quickly as possible. Watch this right here. So you see her trying to hold onto the phone.
Cell phone? No,
She pulls it away
I don't want to give it to you.
and physically turns her body away as though she could protect the phone somehow, as though she could resist giving them the phone. So it's very interesting. And this is worth noting because her behavior calms down a lot after this. So I want you to keep this behavior in mind relative to everything else we're about to watch. Because you might think, well, this isn't that unusual for somebody to fight over wanting to keep their phone. But in the context of how calm she is from here on, it does stand out.
Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you? This is evidence.
So as you can see, they grabbed her wrist afterwards, forcibly took the phone, so that wasn't really something that she could resist at that point.
Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you?
And then she said, my attorney said not to give over my phone, is what it sounded like. It's really difficult to hear because there's so much going on right here. But basically she's saying her attorney told her not to give over the phone, which suggests, although maybe there's some other reason that she would have to say that, suggests that this is something that maybe she talked to her attorney about. Maybe she was anticipating that she might get arrested.
This is evidence. She's under arrest. I have to go with. I have to go. I have to go.
Let me help you also.
No, I have to stay. Please don't do it. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah, and you need to wait outside.
Now, her and her husband, Harvey, both seem remarkably calm given the heaviness of this situation and the gravity of this situation. I do wonder if she couldn't fully appreciate and accept the scope of what's going on. Because given the fact that after this, she doesn't go home. She goes to jail. She is still in jail at the time of the recording of this video. She hasn't stood trial yet, and we'll see what happens after that. But at this point, it's hard to imagine that she truly understood what was about to happen given how calm she's staying.
Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't
Yeah,
come
I
with
can.
me.
Please, can I go?
No, you can't join me there.
Oh, don't do this, please.
And they're essentially asking that her husband ride with her, which also goes to show that she likely doesn't fully appreciate the scope of what's going on. That when someone is arrested, they don't really get to make requests like this. So even if she had some fantasy about how this arrest would go, I don't think it's going like maybe she expected.
Please. Someone's got to help them get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Once again, you can't do this. This is insane. There's a denial about what's going on. There's a lack of acceptance. It seems like a way to maintain control in a sense. Let's go back and watch her say that again.
It's terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Once again, you're seeing her bunch up her face a little bit. She looks frustrated. She looks annoyed, but she doesn't look anxious. She doesn't look angry, at least not at this point. So it's very interesting how measured her response is right here outside of trying to get away with the phone.
Is that okay with you?
No.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No, I
Does she have a necklace on? You
Wanna
can
go?
take the necklace.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah.
Once again, annoyance. You can see her turn her nose up. She seems to almost roll her eyes, something that she did when she was talking to a judge previously. But you'll see she just doesn't seem to fully appreciate just how serious this is. It seems more irritating. And maybe there is a certain degree of entitlement that comes along. Maybe there's part of her that believes there's nothing bad that's going to come from this. Maybe she thinks she's going to go home after she gets arrested, after they process her or whatever. She does not seem to have a realistic grasp of what is getting ready to happen, despite the fact she's being arrested.
And the earrings, the rings, take everything. You give it to your husband.
And if you can see, she just let out a laugh, shook her head, almost like, this is ridiculous. Why are you doing this?
Because once you arrive at county jail, they're going to make you remove all that.
And you can see she's shaking her head. No, in essence, she's in denial of this situation. She's in denial about the seriousness of this situation based on what we're seeing.
I'll call.
Get an Uber, go home.
I will.
Take
I will.
it easy.
I will.
All right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Look how slow and deliberate they are. And I don't attribute this to their age. She's 73. I believe that Harvey is 80. So they're just both very calm, very deliberate. Once again, maybe not fully appreciating the seriousness of what's going on right now.
Oh, it's coming, sweetheart. It's coming. Just a second.
Do you have her driver's license by any chance?
I'm sorry?
Her driver's
It's in my.
Yeah.
And so when I talk about her degree of calmness, I don't say that in a negative way. I'm glad that it's easy on law enforcement throughout this arrest. But you do have to consider the seriousness of what's happening, the fact that she's not going home that night or any night soon after this. And I just don't know that she fully understands and appreciates that.
Is that what you're asking me?
Medication. She can take medication.
No, I know. I was just trying to find out if it was like one or two. Yeah, if it was one or two, then she maybe could take the.
And so we're hearing irritation in her voice. We're not seeing anger. We're not seeing angry eyebrows or fury or anything like that. But she just seems annoyed by this, maybe seems above all of this, finds it irritating that people are putting her through this.
Give me 1 moment, please. Hold the body. 1 moment.
Thank you.
Now, there's a very, very long walk of her getting her to the police car. But as you can see, she stands very upright. She seems to have a lot of confidence right now, maybe a sense of entitlement that we're going to get to in a minute. But as you can see, she's not hanging her head. She's not crying. She's not doing any of those kinds of things. And so here she is in the back of the police car, seems basically expressionless. She doesn't seem to be exuding a lot of emotion. Could be that she didn't take this as seriously as maybe she should have, didn't think that anything was going to come of this ultimately, or thought that maybe they would take her, process her, and send her home. But she is just not showing any emotion. What we don't know, or at least what I don't know, is if historically that's just how she is. Does she tend to show low levels of anxiety? Does she tend to show very little emotion? When we saw her in court, when we saw her in front of a judge, we saw a very different Donna Adelson. She reacted very strongly then, showed lots of facial expressions. What I would presume is possible is that because the judge is an important person, she wanted the judge to see how dissatisfied she was about the way she was treated and reacted very strongly because of that. And we may be seeing this minimal reaction to maintain control in this situation, because that seems to be part of what she is trying to do, is establish some kind of control despite the fact she's in a situation where she essentially has none.
I'm going to check you first, okay? Just stay.
So right now she's asking for some water, but they're going to check her first.
20, 30 pounds. Then you can show me all that.
So you can see, even as they're trying to give her some water, she's holding it up with her fingers. I do think that there is a strong desire to maintain as much control as she can in a situation where she essentially has none. And I don't think she's consciously saying, I want to be in control. I just think that maybe that's naturally how she is in a situation like this.
Thank you. Hold on. What are you doing? Just get air conditioner on.
And so now she's asking for the air conditioner to be turned on. Once again, that suggests that she doesn't appreciate the gravity and the scope of what this situation is. The fact that she is telling people what to do, the fact that she is making all these requests may suggest that she really just doesn't get what's happening right now.
Air condition doesn't go to the back because of the vent, because of the plastic.
We open this a little bit then. That's fine.
So through this, she's making a lot of demands, and people are graciously following along. I don't think that they have to, but they're choosing to. But she is very demanding, given the dynamics of this situation.
I'm going to want more. No.
So she seems to have this demanding nature, saying no, when they're trying to take the water away. And maybe she's used to people listening to her. Maybe that's just how she functions in the world. I imagine that things are going to be less pleasant once she is indeed processed and in jail.
Thank you. Do you know how long we're going to sit? Oh, how long we're going to sit here?
As soon as he comes back, he's going to take you from here to the warrant store.
So she's asking how long they're going to sit there. And I know I may sound like I'm repeating myself, but I just think it's such an important point that I just don't think that if she's truly concerned about how long she's going to be sitting there, that she fully appreciates what's getting ready to happen. And so why it is that she didn't think through this in this way or didn't expect this. Obviously, if she was trying to leave the country, that one would presume that she expected getting arrested is a possibility. But maybe she just doesn't have a very realistic idea of how little control one has after they're arrested.
Sit here?
As soon as he comes back, he's going to take you from here to the warrant store and then to the facility. They're waiting for the other officer to come back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, whatever information he took from you, I guess that's what he was missing, so he's going to enter that and come back.
Okay. So the next place is what? The warrant? What did you say?
Huh?
What did you say the next place was?
Well, see, what happened is the warrant that they have from you is from out of Leon County.
When did they issue a warrant?
So now she's asking questions. Nothing wrong with asking questions, but oftentimes when people are doing that, I always wonder why they're trying to gather information. What are they wondering? Are they trying to strategize? Are they trying to figure out what they know or when they knew it? So as she's asking about the warrant, I always find that somewhat curious and interesting.
Okay, because I didn't know there was a warrant. How would I know that?
Well, we wouldn't have been able to take you if there wasn't something in place.
So aren't they supposed to inform? Aren't
So she's wondering if they're supposed to inform you when there is a warrant. And they are informing her that there is a warrant by arresting her. Once again, it shows her ignorance about how all of this works.
they supposed to inform me if there was a warrant for me?
Well, I don't know if there wasn't something in place.
So aren't they supposed to inform? Aren't they supposed to inform me?
So she raised her eyebrows right there. Aren't they supposed to inform me? And so as she's saying that, she's believing that she's making an important point. They needed to have informed me if they were going to give if they were going to put a warrant out for me, which once again, they did inform her. They informed her by arresting her.
There was a warrant for me?
Well, I don't know the details.
I don't either.
They had a warrant. The gentleman that you met earlier in the plain clothes.
Yes.
Right. They were supposed to inform you of whatever, and then because
So the officer said something about they were supposed to inform you of something, and she laughed, suggesting that she is being mistreated. They didn't inform me of anything. Something's wrong here. This is not how I'm supposed to be treated. That is how I interpret that laugh.
they were supposed to inform you of whatever, and then because it's a county warrant, that's how we became involved.
So we'll go ahead and stop here. They do a little bit more processing, however, but I feel like you've got a pretty good idea of her behavior and her body language. What we saw is somebody that, from all accounts, doesn't fully seem to appreciate the scope of what it means to get arrested, doesn't maybe realize that she is not going to be going directly out of jail after the arrest, that she's not going to get to go home and wait until the trial, or maybe she doesn't even realize that she's going to have a trial. It's hard to know, but her behavior is not consistent with somebody that is in a situation this serious. We did see somebody who didn't show any anxiety, any fear, didn't show much anger, although plenty of irritation and annoyance. We saw somebody who maintained a lot of calm throughout this, with the exception of when they planned to take her phone. When they tried to do that, she almost wanted to leave the situation, it appeared. But beyond that, outside of being annoyed, she generally remained calm throughout the rest of her arrest. If there are other videos you want me to analyze, or there's other things you want me to look at relating to this, please let me know in the comments below. If there's other people or other cases you're interested in, I'm always open to looking at something new. Last thing before we get finished up is I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, thanks for watching.